A nice foggy doggy walk today. We come out early because it's going to be raining later on today, but it's quite warm. It's lovely out here, and there's hardly anyone around, so mind you, I say that I wouldn't be able to see them if there was. September is not mucking about, is it? Barely a week in and autumn's decided, yeah, all right, better get going, I suppose. So we've had a lot more rain, we've had a lot more fog. It's still quite warm, I have to say, it's still quite warm. It's very pleasantly warm, in fact. Don't get me wrong, I think fogginess is rather nice to be out walking in. But yeah, starting to notice all the leaves going a bit brown and crispy, starting to drop. Autumn's definitely on the way. My word, there's going to be a good crop this year. Look at this. I mean, this is by far the best slow bush tree, whatever you want to call it. The best blackthorn in this area. Ooh, spider webs. And yeah, by far the best. But my God, look, it's absolutely loaded this year. Do I make more sloe gin this year? I made a big load of it last year. There is a 3-part guide to making sloe gin, if you look back through my videos. And I'm still drinking that, it's bloody delicious. But yeah, gonna be a good crop again. That's a beautiful spider web, in the classic shape. There's a tiny little plant down here. Can you see it? With like little pinky pale flowers. And there's another one just over here, maybe a bit better. You see it? Tiny little thing. It's a little plant called Bartzia, and I can't say I've ever noticed it in these fields before, and I'm pretty good when it comes to looking around at stuff. But I've noticed it popping up all over the place this year. Just little clusters like that, you know, nothing big, no major spreads of it or anything. But it's a nice little pop of colour. And of course, any flowers for the insects is a good thing. I came over here to have a look at the state of the rose hips, but they're not looking brilliant this year so far. This is normally a pretty good tree for rose hips, and I pick a load of them every year, make rose hip syrup. I like that on my porridge during the winter. But there's a nice big Robin's pincushion there. I think that's last year's. And there's another one, fresher one, just here, look. And as I pointed out in a previous video, this is another form of gall. It's another kind of wasp that injects into fruit trees generally, but they particularly like dog roses. Oh look, there's another one there, that's last year's one. There's another 2 over the back there. And inside the middle of this particular bush, there's mistletoe. So I'm keeping an eye out for the white berries, and I'll have a sprig of that at Christmas. Mistletoe is a parasite, of course, and but it's a kind of, it's not a symbiotic relationship, it is a parasite, it just feeds off its host. But it doesn't kill its host, because that wouldn't be in its interest, because if its host dies, it dies. But it particularly likes fruit trees, and we don't always think of roses as fruit trees, but of course, you think about it, rose hips are just a berry with seeds inside. It's just maybe not one you put in the fruit bowl. Same with tomatoes, really. Was it a wise man once said? Knowledge is knowing that tomatoes are a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. Walking underneath the pepper pot now, the old market house. And this is the Antelope, one of the oldest pubs in the town. Really, really old pub. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I'm in High Wickham because there's a big thing on this weekend called Wickham Celebrates, and it's also the final day of the art exhibition that I'm part of. So I'm just heading along there because, as you can probably tell from my glad rags, I'm curating today. Yeah, there's a whole weekend of celebration this weekend called Wickham Celebrates, which is, you know, an annual thing where they just tell everyone how good the town is and the history of the town and the heritage, and it's going to be very, very nice. It's going to be very nice indeed. We've got some live music stages, we've got food stalls, we've got the local radio station here, All sorts going on today. Things starting to pick up a bit now. A few more of the stalls open.
Now, a quick juggling impression for you.
Okay.
Look at this. What is this? Okay, what meal is that?
Please tell me you're not tossing a salad in the high street.
Tossed salad.
Some more art has appeared since the last time I was here. My good chum David Leach, the comic artist, wonderful man, inventor of Psycho Gran. He's now got a little bit of a wall here, which is lovely to see. I love David's stuff. And he's such a nice bloke as well. So yeah, that's nice to see. And other than that, I think it's pretty much the same as it was last time I was up here. Very nice indeed. Oh, and that, yes. Well, as I leave Wickham Celebrate, I should use this little opportunity to talk about the weight loss this week, which has been okay. £2 this week. That's 4 blocks of lard. That's 4 blocks of butter. I'm quite happy with that. And whoosh, I'm back on my fields as normal. So here's a question for you. Where does all that fat go? If I've lost the equivalent of 4 blocks of lard this week, or 4 blocks of butter, where did that fat go? I mean, what orifice, by what method did it leave my body? Well, you might be surprised to hear that most of it probably went out through my mouth. Because the thing is, carbohydrates, they're the things you should try and avoid if you're trying to lose weight. Because carbohydrates are the fuel that your body uses. And you take in food and you get to a certain stage where you've got more carbohydrates coming into your body than your body actually needs to function. Like, for example, I'm an adult male, I need about 2,000 calories a day. And calories are the measures of energy that are in carbohydrates. So I need about 2,000 calories a day. If I put in more than 2,000 calories, an ancient piece of programming in my brain says, oh, we've got a little bit too much fuel here. Let's save it for a day where there's not so likely to be food, because that's what used to happen to our remote ancestors. They would go out hunting, they get enough food to last them, and then the next couple of days, you know, there might not have been any food, in which case they'd have to pull back on their reserves. So what happens is my body turns the excess into fat. You probably can't see them, but there's 2 little rabbits sitting out there on the pathway. I'm sure they'll run off as soon as I start getting close. Oh, there goes one of them. There goes one of them. Oh, and they're both gone. Both gone. Now, I said that your body uses carbohydrates as fuel. It does, because if you think about the word carbohydrates, what does it sum up for you? Carbon and hydrate. And hydrate we always associate with water, so we're talking hydrogen and oxygen. So your body can use that carbon, that hydrogen and oxygen, break it down from the starches and the sugars you've taken in, and use it as fuel for all your bodily processes. So when you don't have enough fuel coming in, such as when you're on a diet, like a calorie controlled diet. So, I mean, for me, for example, I said I need 2,000 calories a day. I'm only eating between 1,000 and 1,500 calories a day, deliberately. So what happens then is my body says, oh, we haven't quite got enough fuel to run the whole ship. So, you know, we got to find it somewhere else. It goes to my reserve tank, which is my beer belly and all the fat all over my body. And it converts that fat back into carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and it uses it as fuel to power all my body's processes, you know, my brain working and my heart thumping and my circulation system and my digestive system and everything else. And any excess that's not used as fuel passes out of my body in my breath as part of the carbon dioxide that I breathe out. Isn't that extraordinary? But true. feeling quite autumnal today. Well, there's a fair bit of sunshine and there's a bit of a blue sky going on above. There is a cold northern wind sweeping through these meadows. Oh my god, it cuts into you. It's brought the temperature down overall to about 12 degrees, which is extraordinary considering it was 26, 27 last week. And that wind is just, it doesn't let up really. It just howls across these meadows. So yeah, I don't think it'll be long before we get my scarf out. Ah, there's flowers back on the gorse bush. I was starting to worry about it because there hadn't been any for a long while, and gorse normally flowers all year round. But yeah, there's a nice fresh gorse there. Pampas grass. Do you think the old stories are true? That people used to plant it outside their house if they were swingers? It was more a 70s and 80s thing really. Besides which, the couple that own that house, they're in their 80s. I think the only swinging they do is swinging by the chemist to pick up their meds. Two ash trees side by side. One of them's got no leaves at all. One's got a pretty good crown to it. I suspect it may be ash dieback, in which case I shall let the trust know that looks after the fields, because we really don't want that spreading. Dog's just found the first conker I've seen this year, and I'm trying to figure out where it comes from because there aren't any conker trees here. That's a bit weird. Nope, not a single horse chestnut around here. Oh, okay. Now these are hogweed seeds. As you can see, they're all dried out and they're all ready for picking now. And if I pull a couple off, you can see they've got quite a distinctive sort of look to them. You've usually got two little black marks, two little black lines on the actual seed itself. You can see it quite clearly on a couple of those there. These are delicious. These taste like a sort of cross between cardamom and orange. Now I can understand why people would be nervous about picking them, because, you know, hogweeds, common hogweed's big brother is of course the giant hogweed, and the sap of that and any of the interior juices of it will cause blistering and sickness. And that blistering, incidentally, you get blistering on your skin from hogweed. It's activated by sunlight, so the following year you go out in the sun, the blister's going to come back. It's a horrible, horrible plant in that respect. That isn't giant hogweed, and I can identify it. They've got very different leaves and there's all sorts of other identification facts. But I can understand why someone would be a little bit nervous. I can also understand why people would be worried about things like hemlock, because hemlock is a very similar looking plant and is deadly poisonous. But it's like everything in foraging. If you're not 100% sure, don't eat it. You know, don't eat it if you're not 100% sure. But if you are 100% sure, there's some lovely stuff out there. Got all the fluff here flying off these rose bay willow herbs. All the seeds catching the wind and being dispersed. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Loads of it, loads of it, loads of it, loads of it. Look at that. An early morning 7 AM walk to top off the week, because apparently it's going to be raining this afternoon. But you wouldn't know it now. I mean, it's actually quite a nice blue sky. There's quite a lot of sunshine. I'm going to aim for that sunshine puddle because it is actually pretty cold. We've still got that north wind sweeping down onto us, and the temperature's only about 11, 12. Particularly because it's just early in the morning and the sun hasn't been up very long. And yeah, a bit chilly, but also very pretty and very quiet. Lovely. I'm starting to wonder whether my little sweet chestnut tree is actually going to produce anything this year. No hint whatsoever. No hint whatsoever of those little spiky cases that you get sweet chestnuts in, edible chestnuts. Oh well, it had its first blooming last year. I'm sure there'll be some in years to come, but it's not looking very good for this year. I think that's it for another week. So look after yourselves. I'll see you in the next Miscellaneous Meander video, and of course there'll be some arty-farty videos interspersed with all this. So yeah, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Toodle-pip.
If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing. Or click on some of these links to look at some of the other videos on the channel. Or press the like button. Or leave a comment. It would be lovely to hear from you. Any combination of those 4 things would be wonderful. Thank you very much.